Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the match preview for the game between the Tigers and the Pies at the G this upcoming Sunday. Simply a must win. It's time for all things black and white. Now, no messing about, in my opinion. I'm fixated on what is set to transpire when it comes to how we go about selecting our side. Are we going to continue to manage players? Are we going to go all guns blazing? I just don't feel like there's a lot of... We've already been saying this the last couple of weeks, but there's not a lot of wriggle room left in toying around with our selection, what makes up our best 23, and players that get managed. So what we could perhaps start with here as a reference point is the ladder. As it stands, we're 2 points clear of top and we're 4 points clear, or a game clear, of third. So, and Adelaide have the derby, so this will be a very close watch for most Pies fans, I would assume, right? This will definitely be one of those games that we're going to keep a tab on. And then Geelong, you'd expect to get the job done. Brisbane and Gold Coast is also another cracker that will have implications on where we stand by the end of this round. Richmond, quite simply, are not the worst team going around. Just looking at their last 5 guys, or last 7, all right? Well up against GWS at NG Stadium, and GWS currently form side of the league. They have not lost in the last 5 games. So, no easy feat there. They were well beaten by Sydney, fair enough. Well beaten by the Flat Track Bullies. Well beaten by Premiership Fancy. Well beaten by another Premiership Fancy at GMHBA. What else do you expect at that ground? Last couple of weeks, though, they've strung together 2 wins against 2 of the lesser sides in the competition. Understand that, can appreciate that. But a win is a win. And when you go up against West Coast in Perth and you beat them by 50 points, it's worth taking note. This is going to be just not a danger game, but it's just don't go in being complacent against the Tigers. A bunch of outs for them. Looking at this, and if you include the Tom Lynch suspension, right? That injury list is very long. And for us, there's simply no excuse, is where I'll leave it at that. Looking at our last 5 games, statistically, everything stacks up. Our tackling pressure, some of the stats are just making me smile when it comes to the model of our game and how we're approaching games. This is what helps me sleep at night. Last 5 games, our tackle differential is 15 plus. That's almost more than double the next team and triple the third team. That is insane. Tackles inside 50, we're going to have a massive differential. Simply, why? Because we have forward half territory, and that's where we score in our forward half this year, which is why at times it can get a little bit ugly, like it did against Fremantle on Sunday. Repeat entry after repeat entry when Fremantle have no choice but to park the bus. That's what happens. So I feel like our brand is in good stead. Yes, against Freo, our disposal efficiency was horrific, and we're not. I think we're just below average when it comes to disposal efficiency, but take that with a grain of salt, because disposal efficiency doesn't factor in how brave you are with the ball at times as well. And you'd argue sometimes when you take a braver kick, there's more margin for error, and this takes a hit. Fair enough. The territory we had in this game, absurd. 62%. I think the average is around 50% or something crazy like that. Our contest game, where it was something we wanted to highlight and work on, we've improved. Clearances, not so much, I would say. But ultimately, as long as this number, the stoppages, are ticking over, which is just above AFL average scores from stoppages. You would have liked to have seen more goals from stoppages against Freo, considering how many stoppages we had in our first half. We had 10 scoring shots from stoppages, so that's just how fine the how fine the line is there from between winning and losing a game. Freo in a back half in that fourth quarter, I think they scored half of this amount, which is not ideal. You want to yes, they took some brave kicks on, and I think Pendles and Fly, they talked about it last season where they were sort of just talking about how teams, when you're up in the fourth quarter, they tend to stop, and other opposition just have absolutely nothing to lose, and they go helter-skelter, and they find the corridor, and it's the challenge is upon the team who's in front by 3 or 4 goals to continue having a crack. Did Collingwood slow down against Freo? I'm not too sure. I can't say that for certain. I just think Freo defended the lights out, and when they had the chance to rebound, they did that, and they hurt us. Looking at the match preview, just looking at the heads-to-heads, what's an interesting note or observation you can take into this game is we've got 1 win on Richmond at the G, so to extend that would be nice. Our history has always been quite close in recent times. Even we haven't necessarily pumped Richmond. You wouldn't want to include the preseason match. Doesn't count towards this record. Late last year, where we were, I think this was after the Hawthorn game, where this is when we sort of bounced back and we rebounded and we went hard. So that was round 20 last year, and this is round 20 this year. So it's a deja vu where we hit the bottom of the barrel in different contexts of the year in 2024 and 2025, but nevertheless the relative bottom of the barrel this year, and then we rebound now, and we just go for a run, because we got, after Richmond we have Adelaide, then we have Hawthorn, and then we have Brisbane, and then we have Melbourne. That's our launch pad into the final series. Beyond that, 23 was relatively close. This was, once again, I feel like this was probably where we zeroed out in 22, and then we just went bang. I think we didn't lose a game for 13 games after that. So is that an omen? Is an omen a good thing or a bad thing? Let's once again, let's pull up Google omen meaning as okay. So yeah, so it could be served as an omen. There you go. So I've used the right word in the right context. Thank goodness. Anything else worth noting from the match preview on WheeloRatings.com? If you want to check their website out, they've got amazing stats everywhere. So it's always a good reference point. It's a point of reference. It's not everything. It's just a bit of something. That 2020 game, that was the first game back from COVID. That was wacky. That was wacky. And then even in their dynasty period, we managed to break even with them. Unfortunately, we didn't get that flag in 2018 after that prelim final, but we move. What else? Look, most of the stats in our favour. This is what excites me. This is what I'm looking forward to returning to, because we didn't get that against Fremantle. And that's fine. That's the way it goes. But that's where we're at. Any players we want to talk about? I'm intrigued to see, once again, do we rest a Darcy Cameron against a very competitive, bullish, rugged Toby Nankervis? Does he come into the side to some degree? Does Mason Cox survive? Where does Tom Mitchell fit in this picture? Do they rest Nick Dacos, even though he's probably the hardest player to convince to have a rest, especially when he's also has a side quest in trying to secure his first Brownlow? Can Darcy Moore bounce back after his relatively poor game against Fremantle? I thought Ned Long took some positive strides. Patrick Lipinski was a little bit quieter on the weekend. Still, Sidebottom was good with his 2 goals. Do we see more midfield time from Josh Dacos? I'm just thinking off the top of my head, what are some of the views for our players? I think this is nice. This is fun going through each player. Jack Crisp, solid as ever, played more midfield time against Fremantle, so I'm liking the season he's having. Is he one of our highest rated players? He is, for good reason, okay? Jamie Elliott, does he get rested? And I'm not saying all these players are going to get rested all together. I'm just saying, do one of these players get rested against Richmond? Scott Pendlebury was okay, just his usual average self, I'd say. Bruzzy was probably a little bit down compared to the season he's been having. Bo McCreary, absolutely outstanding, impeccable. His tackling pressure, he is just a menace. Bobby Hill will not play. Lockie Schultz was good to have him back, and his tackling pressure. Mychek started like a house on fire, but missed some crucial shots in the game. What's his accuracy? Do we have his accuracy here? No, we don't. But his accuracy relative to a Tim Membry, who we'd love to see back, there's a difference there. Tim Membry, I think, is our most accurate player in front of goal. So we need those players back. Harry Perriman, he was okay, wasn't he? Billy Frampton, please come back. Quaynor was a little bit sloppy by foot at times against Fremantle, but for the most part, I think he's had a really good year. McStay, a below average game, I would say. Would like to see a bounce back and just find a way to imprint the game, affect the game. Just get active. I don't know. I just feel like sometimes McStay goes missing in games. That's the reason. That's the difference between McStay being, let's say, he's a B+ type of player versus an A- A+ type of player in the league. He just can't stay busy sometimes. Ed Allen was okay. He had 11 touches, kicked the goal late in the game. I think he holds his spot, but he will certainly be a watch against Richmond. Same thing with Lockie Sullivan as these players start to come back. Rowan Steele would be optimistic that his name is thrown in the selection hat for the game against Richmond after kicking 4 goals in the VFL. DeGoey VFL this weekend if he gets through training on today, being Wednesday, and Friday. So potentially a watch along there. Hoskin Elliott came on as a sub, and for some reason, whenever he comes on as a sub, he has immediate impact. So I'm starting to look at Will Hoskin Elliott through the lens of, can this guy be the ultimate swingman as a sub? That's my question. Have we seen the end of Charlie Dean? Probably. Oleg Markov, I'd like to see Leggy stay in the side, but just do less like he's done his whole career. Do less, and you'll get more in return. You'll play more. I think he did too much against Freo. Mason Cox, have we seen the end of him? Will Parker's name is always in the conversation of selection. He's just that type of player, and yeah, we'll leave that at that. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the match preview. I hope you enjoyed it. If I've missed any talking points going into this game, let me know in the comment section. And as always, go Pies.